Good evening, students. In this video, I am going to explain the poem, The Prologue, written by Annie Bradstreet. It is actually the subject of American literature for 2nd BA English students. Annie Bradstreet was an important American women poet, actually, and first Puritan in American literature, and she has written poems based on many topics, and some of her works I have given here. And introduction, the prologue was written by Annie Bradstreet. It is clearly shows that the poetess expectation of recognition for female poets in 17th century. And though female poets are talented, they are not praised and appreciated by men. They always try to find fault on female poets and their work. And according to Annie Bradstreet, the subject of war, captain, kings, founded cities, and commonwealth are too high and superior. She convinces herself by saying that the poem on these subjects can be written by male poets only, because the poetess pen is mean pen. That means an ordinary pen. She says. And it can be written only by the great poets and historians with exact dates. The male poets feel that the worth and honor of these important subjects will diminish if it is written by female poets. Annie Bradstreet is wondered and envious of sugared lines of Batasse. Batasse was one of the greatest poets in France in 1500, but it is not the fault of the poetess, according to her. She has written what muses have rendered to her. Batasse writes by his own inspiration, and Bradstreet writes with her own skill. We cannot expect rhetoric from schoolboys. We cannot listen sweet music from broken strings. We will not accept a thing as beautiful if it has a main defect. She tells further that her foolish broken poems cannot be repaired because they are gifted by muses. Muses are the inspirational goddesses of literature, science, and arts. Those defects are irreparable as it is gifted by nature only. Now she tells us that she cannot be fluent like Demosthenes, and initially he had a speech defect. Later he overcame from the defect by his tireless practice and effort. Because of his hard work, he overcame from his defect. But the fault in her poem and its defect is not her problem. It is due to her creativity and thinking in her brain. A weak and wounded brain admits no cure. As she was the women poet of 17th century, she couldn't get chances like male poets. And she is disappointed of complaining tongue of male poets. They tell her that her hand is good for stitching than writing. Such scornful voices criticize the intellect females. Even if she wins, they will not change their opinion. They will always criticize her work by saying that their work is stolen from someone or maybe fluke. And she praises Greeks for their mild approach on women. In 17th century, Bradstreet was criticized for her poetical talents by men. She tells that muses are all women, and especially Calliope represents the leader of muse, as well as epic poetry is also a woman. Greeks have given importance to art subject, and women represents the leader of the arts. There is a knot between art and women, according to her. But this knot is untied by men easily by telling that the Greeks are lying and fools everyone. And the poet further says and accepts that men are excel in writing and priority is given only to men compared to women. She doesn't want to fight to prove her talent. She further tells that men can do well and it is all observed by women. She even ready to acknowledge their talents, but she requests men to grant at least some acknowledgement for women writers. And in the final stanza, the men poets and their writings are flowing like quills in the sky and are appreciated and praised by all. But women poets are like their prey who are suppressed by men poets. She further asks male poets to recognize the talent of the poetess not by base and at least by parsley wreath. Then she compares the female writers with unrefined ore. This unrefined ore will make their glistering gold, that is their work will shine more. In the conclusion, the poet belongs to 17th century, so it is clearly shown that the condition of female writers during those period. Though the poetess is talented and creative mind, she is unable to shine like male poets. She doesn't ask equal honor from men. She asks at least a recognition for female writers from the great male poets. She asks male writers to see the real talent of female writers in the literary field and requests them not to value the work based on sex, that is, men or women writers. Thank you, students. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching.